Well, it's another fan formula. It's another chance to talk about some more teams. So, part 2 of the 2012 Fan Formula F1 season review is now underway here at The View. Yes. As you can see, I've changed my facial hair yet again. I did say that many times this season that it would be changing more times than Rubens Barrichello in 2009. Obrigado, Rubinho. But let's talk about the team, shall we? First of all, Scuderia Ferrari. A team that was really up against it at the beginning of the season, but there was one man amongst all that made sure that things happened, and that man was Fernando Alonso, dragging the F2012 by the scruff of its neck, a car which was clearly uncompetitive from the get-go, testing numerous aerodynamic configurations, exhaust configurations, and then we had that gap where the nose was that resembled a miniature fireplace. You had just enough room to stick one in there. So really kudos to Fernando for doing such a fantastic job, and Felipe in the second half of the season doing really well. But the biggest standout moment for me, Valencia, when Fernando Alonso won and was so unequivocally emotional about winning for the first time at Valencia. So really that's all I have to say about Scuderia Ferrari. But then we have to talk about the team formerly known as Brawn GP. Yes, Mercedes. I don't know where it's all gone wrong for the team. I mean, it's just been one of those years where you just think it was going so well. Nico picking up his first win in China, you know, after 111 races, and finally breaks his duck. And then we see Michael at Monaco, yet again, the Meister does it again, going through the swimming pool with chicane, 140 miles an hour, turning the wheel whilst adjusting the brake balance was just sheer poetry in motion, and just shows the mental faculty that the 43-year-old, 7-time Formula 1 world champion still has at that age, which is incredible. But then obviously we had the enforced gearbox penalty, which dropped him from 1st to 6th, enabling Mark Webber to start from the front of the grid and take the race. But then the mechanical failures. How many technicians does it? How many mechanics does it take to close an RFA? Or too many in Michael Schumacher's case, when the RFA was actually open, and they couldn't. You know, hydraulics. You can't force hydraulics down, otherwise you're going to cause a problem with the system. So, you know, it was a real bit of a shame for Brackley. But then we come to the plucky, well-known, well-established Formula 1 team, based in Grove, of course, yes, Williams F1. And to finally see that after an 8-year drought, we have a Venezuelan, the first Venezuelan winner in Formula 1, Pastor Maldonado, taking the win at the Circuit de Catalunya, which was one of the moments. Another moment was really Bruno Senna's consistency throughout the second half of the season, and I think he has earned another drive. Obviously, it's not going to be with Williams because Valtteri Bottas is now in for 2013, and he's got to where he needed to be and where he said he would be for 2013. So another flying Finn joins the ranks of Formula 1. But then, obviously, the biggest moment was the fire in the pit lane. That was very an emotionally charged moment, because you know they'd come off of a big high, Maldonado being lifted aloft on the podium. Champagne being sprayed everywhere, and then whilst the team was celebrating, a fire breaks out. But to see the amount of help that that the teams were able to give, you know, you had Force India, you had Toro Rosso, you had, you know, teams from across the paddock, excuse me, helping them out to get the fire out quickly, and who needed the fire marshals, you know, very bad response time. So really, that was a big emotional moment. And then finally, one of the newer teams to Formula 1, Marussia, yes. Formerly known as Virgin Racing, or Manor, before it became Virgin, then becoming Marussia Manor Racing. Done a fantastic job this year. They've really brought the fight to Caterham, and we've now got a, you know, it just goes to show that the second seat in the Marussia squad is not necessarily a seat of death, as Charles Pic has proved this year, being rewarded by a drive with Caterham for next season. So it's great to see that we will have 3 Frenchmen yet again back in Formula One. So obviously with Romain, Jean-Eric, and Charles, just really, really good. And plus, he did really, really show how quick he was, and obviously he was quite consistent on his race finishes. But I think the biggest thing for me was when Marussia decided to enter with a technical working partnership with McLaren, like Force India have done. And so the emphasis is not so much on CFD like it was in the initial stages of Virgin Racing when it was called that in 2010. So I'm really, really pleased to see that Marussia have said to Caterham, you're not going to have it all your own way, we're going to give you a fight. And they did give them a fight right up until Brazil, where Vitaly Petrov managed to secure the final, the best finish of the season, to secure the funding, the money that FOM give to the teams for championship placing. So I'm really excited to see what Marussia are going to bring with the table. We've got Timo again. He's still got a lot of belief in the team. He hasn't had results all his own way this season. But with Max Chilton, the 4th British driver to now be in Formula 1 alongside Button, alongside Paul di Resta, and a notable other as well, Lewis Hamilton, going over to Mercedes. So I'm really excited to see what Marussia brings to the table for 2013. So that's it. That's really my answers for this week's 2012 season review part 2. And see you next time. Ciao, ciao.